Mm.
Just a big old movie, like Daniel's big old butt.
What?
I can't give it to you, baby.
Sorry, that caught me off guard a little bit.
Welcome back to the next episode of the Dark Hour. Today we're going to talk about the most haunted location, and it's going to be
Most haunted location where? You just said most haunted.
Is it?
Is it the
The
most
Bill-
haunted?
I know the state,
yeah, it's is known as America's most haunted location.
Oh wow. Okay.
Tennessee,
I guess I'm off my game.
because you're the only 10 I see.
Ah! Meow, meow, meow.
I can't give it to you, baby.
There you go.
The Bell family.
The Bell.
And they still exist to this day. I've done my
there's-
research.
Yeah, there's descendants still,
And-
and they still live in the same area.
And there's also, they
Yeah.
still, and one of the kids has been experiencing some of the same things.
Yeah.
That thing, okay.
Neighbors still experience it.
You know, yeah. My I think I've told you about how my grandfather on my daddy's side had cussed at that lady, and she
Yeah.
was like, "Your cow will milk blood,"
Yeah.
Oh,
and it
shit.
did. So they had something similar to that, but it was funny because after that, my dad's family got out of farming.
Damn.
Like they were big farmers, you know. Like Scandinavian people do. They farm.
Yeah. What
so-
was it? There was something else too with your family with the males and the Reaper tattoo,
Yeah.
because that was from something too, wasn't it?
Yeah, they saw one. My grandfather saw like the figure one night.
The Grim Reaper?
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
and he said that every man should bear this, my image. I had mine tattooed over.
Tattooed over.
Yep, with
Wow.
Odin
Why?
because I wanted to.
But he said every man
I
should
put
have.
Odin over it.
It's still there though.
Oh, okay.
It's still there. It's just got
Still
Odin
there.
I
over
was like,
it.
what the hell?
I mean, they can't take it off. They just cover it
Yeah.
up.
Knock on wood.
Well,
He just got-
No,
They can't take it off, but the Grim Reaper can take it back.
Well, if you believe in that.
He can go, I'm going to take it back.
Well, the only thing in my belief is that when I die, it'll be Freya or Valkyrie that comes and gets me. So I don't know.
Yeah. So anywho, so
All right,
so
let's
this
get back on track.
this dates back to like back in the 1800s, and I mean I know they've made a show about it. There's been documentaries about everything.
There's actually a movie about it.
Yeah, the one I was watching
Yeah.
earlier actually interviewed the Bell family.
Yeah.
I remember that too. So apparently they did move to. It was John Bell, his wife Lucy, and then their children. They actually moved from North Carolina to Robertson County, Tennessee.
Yep.
320 acres of farmland.
Yep.
That's a lot.
If I'm not mistaken, they had a little girl, or several children, but there was one
Yep.
named Betsy, right?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about the Betsy.
Yeah.
Betsy was the one that had the trouble. I believe.
She's the one that got
Yeah.
all the. It was between her. Mostly, most people that experienced the most was her and her daddy John.
Yep.
Is
They were
it?
the two. So whatever it was, definitely like
So I know that everybody has a story, right? But the one that I follow closely is the Kate Batts theory.
that was the one that had. So
She
that
was
the
the
neighbor.
witch, huh?
Was that the neighbor
witch.
that they supposedly
Yeah,
said?
like you remember how like I told you, my grandfather did something wrong to that one lady.
Yeah.
So Kate Batts, John Bell actually, basically from far as I can tell, basically there was some shady dealings with some land or something.
Yes, and she
And-
felt like
She was wronged.
Yep.
Yep. So like, and then that kind of correlates into Daniel's theory with the demon because I think Kate actually like conjured it.
Yeah, because I know they said that, after there had been people at that time, during that time period, who had basically asked that presence. They said it was very rarely seen as an actual being, and they asked the presence, because you could hear, it would always
Yeah.
talk to you.
Yeah.
Like in the air, and they asked the presence, like people who actually came back then and asked the presence, who are you?
Yep.
And they said, I'm a spirit who's been around over a million years, and I have been awoken and bothered. And then they asked, well, why John? And they said, because that man needs to be killed.
Yeah, that was Kate Batts. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the theory.
They said he needs a good killing. Another thing I read about was Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, I was telling Joy about that.
Actually encountered.
He encountered it after he went to go because he got two.
He was friends.
Yeah,
they had served
the news
something together.
The news had got to him, and so he was like, "I'm gonna go see about this."
And he experienced something. They said he got on the lucky end of it, but they said that when he left, he said, whatever that was the devil himself, and I don't ever want to be around it again.
Yeah, he didn't go back.
It was a big thing for sure. Word spread rather quickly because they were only in that house, I think, because it was like after they moved in, shortly after they moved in is when they started. It kind of was gradual between like seeing these weird animals and creatures to sounds. And then over time, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I'll kind of touch base on some of that stuff too. But also,
the house is still there too, by the way.
Yes, you can visit it. They also have a museum too.
They also have a cave.
Yes, I was reading about the cave because there was a story about that.
Yeah.
In the 70s, yeah.
But another popular thing also, talking about Kate Batts and the witchcraft and her conjuring up stuff and things like that. Apparently during that time, there was a lot of like religious, social, and cultural environment stuff in the Robertson, that actual town. Because you also that was the period during the actual Second Great Awakening and the spiritualism movement. So during that time, a lot of people are going to church. You're talking about 20,000 people gathering around, and some different reverends would kind of say that these are when you basically feel the actual spirit, and all of a sudden they're going into like convulsions and things like that, or making different sounds. So all of this was going on around that time period too, which is, I feel like, probably the reason why, all the more reason that it was like that particular timing of where this spirit kind of came about and started torturing them.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that the spirit picked and chose who in the family it wanted to do stuff to, which in a sense is like, okay, if it was Kate Batts, then why even go after the children?
Yeah.
Because...
Well, I think, she knew that but that daughter was his pride and joy.
She was the youngest one.
And it was his pride and joy.
I know they, and even after John had passed away, years after, was still messing with Betsy. Even told her not to marry her boyfriend at the time, who she was set to marry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he older than her? The boyfriend?
Like, he came, and she always came to her as a little girl, like hanging from a tree or sitting in a swing. Then also, the little girl would get slapped in the bed and when she was sleeping, I was reading.
Oh, yeah.
And she would have her braids literally tied to the bed frame.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
right
she got tortured, and the thing is,
It said involved.
Yeah,
she was definitely very involved for sure. Like she never did anything to his wife Lucy.
No,
she thought that she was like the prettiest thing, and she would tell her that, even with like, this spirit predicted the future.
Yeah,
there's a part on there of where John Jr., she told him not to travel to this location because of these dealings that he was supposed to go to.
Yeah.
It's a waste of your time. Don't go because it's already been settled.
Yeah.
And he was just like, and she was like, and on top of that, he was supposed to be meeting. What did it say?
After.
the love of his life. Well, he decided not to listen to her and went ahead, and exactly what happened is basically went there, did all this traveling, completely waste of his time. Now, whether or not he actually may have missed an opportunity with the love of his life is, we don't know. But so you have the spirit that's torturing certain family members. Then you have it to where it's predicting and almost like trying to help.
They said the voice was heard by several neighbors as well. Mm-hmm. Like even neighbors and locals heard the voice. And the spirit, as it growed in intelligence over the years, they said it could be in multiple places at once. That's what I was reading.
Yeah. This thing for sure was smart. It was definitely plotting to basically torture the entire family or just to continuously carry on. Hence, just like what y'all were talking about, is that there's still, the Bell family is still around and they're still experiencing issues.
And like I know, like when the night that they said that night that John had died, they said the doctor had basically said, because he had like a trouble with speech for several days.
Yeah.
And they said that the doctor came and said he's been poisoned. And they said at that very moment there was a voice in the room.
Yeah.
And said, "Yeah, I did it. I gave him a nice cocktail of his meds last night.
Yeah.
He won't make it through the night."
Yeah, I heard about that.
And then he died that night. It was
I did. I
like
heard.
the 18th of December or something.
Yeah.
So
Because it's the only thing that's actually marked and documented that they said that his death was actually related.
too spiritual.
Yep, to a
It's
spiritual.
the only. It's the only paper like death in the United States that's ever been recorded on paper as attributed to a spiritual being.
Wow. That's crazy.
Like his death was accredited as basically being homicidal, like a homicide by a spiritual being. It's the only one to this day. There's never been another. Never was one before.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, imagine sitting there and you're like a kid, and you're basically getting pricked with pins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's getting slapped. She's getting drug around, by her actual hair. Same thing if she's trying to brush her hair, stuff like that. That spirit will come in and just yank it out of her hand or toss it across the actual across the room.
Mm-hmm.
Her poor, I think it was, because it was her, wasn't it, that had the boyfriend that was a neighbor.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
That, I think his name was Joshua. And that's, the spirit told her, like, you need to be here.
Yeah, it came to her. She was hanging in a tree and said, stay away.
Yeah.
And then like people as a child and stuff, people didn't wanted to come and experience this for themselves, like family members and other people. They would come spend the night.
It ended up being like a novelty.
Well, they would come and spend the night with them or whatever, and it would, the things that would happen to Betsy would happen to them as well, or they would see it. It normally wouldn't happen on the first night, but by the second night it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was basically just like taunting her. It doesn't say how old Joshua was, but they were sweethearts.
And they were literally neighbors. What?
Yeah. Yeah, they, yeah. Oh, got a little mic.
Sorry.
Miss Joy's got a little bit of I don't know if everybody else is hearing this, but it's like you sound like you're a mile away, and then all of a sudden you sound really good.
Oh, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't hear it on my end.
Yeah. I guess it's just something I'm used to now.
No,
It's okay. Go ahead. I'll figure it out.
Is that better?
Yeah, now it is,
Okay.
but you can't move around a lot.
I wasn't moving it. Look at here. That's what the whole
take it back.
preliminary and all
Lord.
that, checking everything. Okay?
Hey,
You ain't check it. Not my problem.
I did check it. Go ahead.
It just said fat.
Fat?
It said fat. It was
Fat.
sitting over near you and it said fat.
Dang, that thing taunting you.
It was literally right there beside your desk, and it
I ain't
said,
that fat.
it said,
Ain't even
it's-
right.
See, look, it says fat.
All right. Well, that's all right.
So why do we think
I
that?
think I'll be cutting this out. Go ahead.
So why do we think that the spirit was pretty much, picking and choosing who? I mean, we know like
Obviously, it's intelligence, so there's a reason for it.
I mean, yeah, there's a reason, but that's the question.
the
Is what
mystery.
is the reason?
That's the mystery of it all, yes.
I don't
Because
think they've
I-
ever solved it.
yeah, because I know that it's never been said that they've never known like why, like what the intention was of the actual spirit and why their family.
The same reason
At
of
all.
why it still does picks and chooses today.
Yeah, well, right
But
now,
it never was just that family necessarily. Like I said, neighbors experienced it as well. It came to neighbors. It appeared to neighbors.
Well, now it's kind of reserved to more or less like when people take stuff from the cave.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was watching on that documentary. Is
They don't like.
this guy took a group of like 9 or 10 people back in the 70s, just to explore the cave, and he wouldn't let his son go that night. But they went to the cave. It was pretty late, and it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And they said they were about 250 feet in the cave, and all their lights went black, every one of them. And now he has to guide them out in the pitch black at that time of night. And
Yeah.
he said right as they got to the entrance of the cave, all the lights came back on.
That's why.
Every headlamp, every flashlight came back on as they got to the entrance of the cave.
Yeah. Definitely.
Maybe whatever was in love with Lucy Bell.
Lucy.
Yeah, the wife.
Oh.
True.
Because
Or, hear me out. What if it was the wife's? Like she was the actual witch.
Well, if it was in love with the wife, why would the being like why would the spiritual being hurt her child? If it truly loved.
Well, there's women throughout history
Yeah.
that kill their children. All
I'm not
the
talking
time.
about if it was. I'm not talking about if it was her. Actually, her. I'm talking about if it was somebody who was infatuated. Like if it was a being that was infatuated with the wife.
because they don't want the kids.
They don't want the kids around. They would want that
Yeah.
person. They're gonna want to isolate whoever it is.
Yeah, but they at the same time they know it's going to definitely hurt that person.
They don't care. A demon don't
People
care
ain't
about
worried.
that.
He said, "I don't give a fuck, Keisha."
Ain't nobody worried about that.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they ain't
Shit
worried
on these
about
walls.
how you gonna feel.
Hell no.
Because, I mean, the thing was that even when Lucy actually got sick, and she was actually bedridden, the spirit would come in there and talk to her in a really soft, kind voice. Brought her grapes because that was her favorite fruit. Even when it was out of season.
That spirit was going.
The spirit brought grapes.
Yeah, would
They
get
said
her
the spirit. They
grapes.
said the spirit could like move, like manifest stuff, like
and
objects.
it wasn't even like
Y'all digging up some stuff
Yeah.
I ain't never heard of.
yeah.
Never
and
heard about no
then-
bringing no grapes.
I heard that the spirit could literally make itself be in two places at
Oh,
once.
shit, I want to be home with a spirit that manifests as cheeseburgers.
And if she had company in her room,
Yeah.
it would just randomly drop grapes onto the bed.
What did it say?
It says please.
Please?
That's what it says.
Yeah, well, it was pleasing her for sure.
And like another thing that Lucy
So
liked
then,
was
it Lucy that was the.
Herself.
Lucy also liked hazelnuts. If you know anything about hazelnuts,
That's a
they
witch.
come in the shell.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, if she couldn't crack it, that spirit ain't sure cracked it for her.
I didn't get that far. with it.
It's kind of that is some that you digging up some stuff that definitely I didn't hear before. So dang,
So the thing
I never
was,
knew
I'm
it was
like,
cracking nuts for and everything.
yeah, I'm like, you're basically
Oh, he
feeding
was cracking
her
a nut, all right.
her favorite food, like whatever it is that was her favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this all happened during the time where she was basically bedridden. You know, I mean, she was like deathly like sick.
Now you don't think
She
she
could've
was
died.
hallucinating, do you?
No, because she had company.
Other people would witness this stuff. I did hear that.
Yeah, because when company came over,
I didn't go as far as the nuts, but I
she
did hear
would-
about the grapes.
She would drop grapes onto the actual bed.
That is it a she or a he?
They don't know. They don't know
Yeah,
because it would appear most of the time. Very rarely. They said almost, maybe not even, but 2 or 3 times in the whole history of this, being, has it ever appeared as a full apparition of a person? It was always either a voice that was heard, a presence that was felt.
Well, I thought there was a time or two that it was like a dog.
There was a few times where like they said it was an animal. It could be an animal.
Well, they've seen like it when it originally started to occur. The family, I think, John Jr. or Senior was first.
Yeah.
That saw like this weird looking animal, and he chased after it and shot at it, but it had gotten away. And then I believe one of the other boys had the same interaction with another like funky looking animal. So I'm pretty sure that's how it kind of started.
Yeah, it
So
started
this
off as they saw
spirit- yeah.
animals, and then it appeared as a little girl twice that they know of to Betsy, but they said
Betsy or Lucy?
Betsy,
Betsy's the daughter. Lucy's the
daughter.
wife.
Oh, okay.
but it appeared as a full little girl. One time on a swing, when she went to go talk to the little girl,
No,
she
it wasn't.
disappeared.
It was Betsy wasn't that young.
Couldn't.
She probably couldn't have been for the fact that her and Joshua were sweethearts. I mean, I would assume that they were a little bit older,
Well,
maybe in like teens.
Well, it went on for years.
I think that like she ended up like not being with Josh
Yes.
and then marrying the school teacher.
I don't know about that, but I know that she ended up breaking things off with Josh because when the spirit found out about it, it would just constantly like start pestering her about, you know, she don't need to be with him. And it was
Must
just
have been
like
something
throughout.
about Josh, huh?
Well, I don't think that. Well, there again, the spirit didn't. We know for sure
I wonder
She
if Betsy
almost
looked like Lucy.
she almost hated like Betsy and Senior, the actual spirit, because those two got it the worst of all the kids.
But they brought her grapes.
No, that was Lucy,
Lucy.
John's wife.
It would bring Lucy grapes.
Yes.
John's wife.
John's
So
wife got
it
sick.
didn't bring grapes to the girl. It
No, the girl was
No.
Betsy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm catching up. That's weird.
But like I was most of the time, whenever that spirit was encountered, even by neighbors, locals, anybody,
Maybe it was scared of her
it was a voice.
because
That's
she
what-
was like the spiritual matriarch of the family.
that, or maybe she looked like Lucy.
Well,
Betsy?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Well, if Betsy looked like Lucy, then
Yeah.
it would have been mean to her too.
Maybe not.
How so?
'Cause maybe it just wanted Lucy.
I don't know.
No, this thing.
I think you're reaching for.
But maybe it went for Betsy, like she said.
That's
It went,
reaching now, though.
but it went for Betsy because from what we've read, she was the closest to her father.
I guess I don't know.
So
They did say that.
she was
Yeah.
even closer to her father than his own wife.
Yeah.
So like they were close.
Well, I've heard stories. Yeah.
But the spirit was like, Lucy is like the most basically beautiful person, like being that thing has ever seen.
Well, yeah. Then that's why it wasn't messing with Lucy.
That's why I was like, that thing had to have been in love, infatuated with Lucy or something like that.
But just imagine, like, even as a neighbor or whatever, just imagine it coming to you, the spirit, and like it's just a voice talking. You just hear somebody talking to you. Like, what the hell? It's like,
Hey man, can I borrow some grapes?
hey man, I need to borrow some grapes to take to Lucy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Go ahead and
give it
crack
to you.
these nuts for me.
Hey,
'cause-
Lucy be at the dinner table and they all be in the family. I'm like, this is me making it up. This is not a true story.
he had to put a disclaimer.
Sorry. I'm just saying it'd be funny because they're all sitting there eating dinner, and out of nowhere, Lucy
Oh, Lord.
hears the voice, a little voice whisper. Meet me upstairs. I can't give it to you here, baby.
That would be funny.
No, but it's crazy that even a president of the United States experienced this.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Was he president then, though?
I don't know that. I didn't to take the time to look at the years.
I think he wasn't because the
They had
reason I
served
think he
in
was
the-
campaigning.
they had served in the military together.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he
And-
was up there. He was like
Yeah.
a senator at the time, but I think he was out campaigning.
Well, he had served in the military and went to visit to see
Yeah.
this, and
I mean, you gotta think these people.
he never went back.
That poor
and
family.
you know that it like that you know that ain't just no one day ride. Let me go downtown. Let me go visit.
No, that's
Yeah.
a week. That's a week trip,
Yeah.
easily.
But people were traveling
everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like
To
wow.
come and see and experience.
And they
what
did.
This poor family was basically getting tortured by.
And that is how we got modern day haunted houses.
Yes, it is. I guess.
Yeah, everybody want to go see the spooks.
It was a business
Oh,
model.
whoa! Be careful what you say there now.
What?
What? Oh Lord,
Just messing around.
she's a minority.
I don't know. I'm thinking about what's that movie
Oh Lord!
with Clint Eastwood?
She is a minority.
I know, but Gran Torino. Gran Torino. Oh, I love that movie.
That wasn't. Never mind. That wasn't spooks that he said.
That's what I said. I don't think that it was spooks.
But that
he
was a
used.
derogatory.
Yeah,
there
he
was
did.
a derogatory.
He called them gooks.
No, he's talking to the black guy. He said, "What you looking at, spook?"
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he dang sure called him gooks.
he did.
He called them
He
gooks
used
too.
the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
that's
crazy.
not good.
Yeah. So what they?
I think Daniel's just sitting there trying to read.
I am reading. They.
Well, whenever you want to rejoin us from reading, we'll sit here and wait.
For what? I'm reading about the witch.
I know.
But definitely,
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I'm like, I can only imagine during that time of all these people coming from everywhere to
Yeah.
basically, cure their curiosity. During a time where this, that particular religious movement with
Yeah.
spiritualism and everything was just kind of starting to come about too. I'm like, that's crazy.
yeah.
It says, according to legend, John Bell Sr. and his family and the whole local area came under attack by a mostly invisible entity that was able to speak, affect the physical environment, and shapeshift. Some accounts record the spirit also to have been clairvoyant and capable of crossing long distances with superhuman speed or of being in more than one place at one time. Yeah. It wasn't just that family, the whole area experienced.
Well, then that goes back to Kate Batts because she was the one that was wronged by the John Bell in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then they did disputes in church.
Well, I said other names for the
That's why
for
they
it
did
is Kate.
separation of church and state.
Kate is another name that's known for that being. So
Well, I know during this actual religion thing, some of these people were, like I said, they were barking like animals and speaking in tongues and stuff like that. And
Now, did the ghost start before?
this is all in that
The
same time frame of the 1800s, like the early 1800s. So that's the reason why I said,
This is after the witch trials, right?
I don't know when that happened. I didn't look at all that.
Daniel, look up when the Salem witch trials were. I think it was like 1700.
So then this would be afterwards.
Yeah.
it was late 1800s. Yeah.
Late. So what? The witch trials?
The witch trials were 1692 to 1693.
That's why I said
Yeah.
it was around 1700.
This was began sometime around
Don't
18,
give up too much. That's our next week's show.
1817.
We're doing Halloween stuff. It's October. We got to start with witches.
No, I'm talking about the Bell witch started around 1817 and went through
So this
was
is
very
almost
prominent.
200 years.
But it was mostly prominent from 1817 to 1821 was where it was most active.
18 what now?
1817 to 1821.
So this was before the shootout at Doke Corral.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be. Oh yeah, you did say it's a Great Awakening. Yeah, okay, I got you.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's right before. It was like right after Revolutionary War, I think.
Because you basically had, so the Second Great Awakening was Protestant
Mm-hmm.
religious revival. And so they had their biggest influence was in Kentucky and Tennessee regions.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about the late 1790s
Oh,
until
you
like the
talk about
1820s.
it. Yeah, they're more like that was the kind of like what they have now is like the snake handlers, where they handle snakes and speak in tongues and.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The family heard sounds of gnawing on beds.
Hey,
Yep.
Invisible
that could have
dogs.
been a rat.
Invisible dogs fighting.
That's what it said. That's what they said it sounded like.
And invisible dogs fighting and chains being dragged along the floor.
I don't know what you can do to that. That must be a big ass rat.
But you have like some of these other ministers like this. There's Methodist ministers that basically said that all they were doing during the Great Awakening was Satan's work versus God's work. Then you have like an actual Baptist leader who came in that said, and they would come and actually like watch the revivals that were going on.
Okay, so what does the revivals have to do with the witch? Is it?
I'm just saying because all of this
I'm
stuff.
just trying to figure out like, is there a correlation?
Yeah, because all of this stuff, you're talking about spiritualism, you're talking about people talking in tongues,
Okay.
barking, all of this stuff was going on
And then they would
around
hear
that
barking
same.
at home.
On the land that he owned as well, that 300 acres, is an Indian burial mound as well, a Native American burial mound. Burial mound.
Good.
It says that the apparition began to speak out loud and was asked by a priest, "Who are you and what do you want?"
So we could be going back to last week's show then, a mimic.
Yeah, as well. But that's what it says. It says who when the apparition began to speak out loud. When the apparition began to speak out, was speaking out loud, and it was asked by a local priest, "Who are you and what do you want?" And the voice answered feebly, "I am a spirit. I was once very happy, but have been disturbed."
Yeah.
Millions of years. He said he was a million years old.
I don't know.
But what I'm saying is maybe that witch that you're talking about, Kate,
Yeah.
had used, conjured up the spirit, like almost like a mimic, like
It's possible.
from that area, from the land, just basically.
Or all them people hooping and hollering and barking woke him up.
Oh Lord.
Because going back to that, there again, during this time is when people believed in witches,
Yep.
ghosts, and supernatural stuff. So all of that stuff about with the locals and everything, about the strange events that happened at the Bell House,
Yeah.
they're
Oh.
like, that's all from that.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why they feel like all those beliefs and traditions
Yeah.
were directly contributed to what was going on
That's wild.
with the actual Bell family.
It says the spirit offered diverse explanations of why it had appeared, tying its origin to the disturbance of a Native American burial ground located on the property, and sent Drew Bell and Bennett Porter on an unproductive search for buried treasure.
Yeah.
With the emergence of full conversations, the spirit would repeat word for word 2 sermons given 13 miles apart at the same time. The entity was well acquainted with biblical texts and appeared to enjoy religious arguments. As another amusement, the witch also shared gossip about activities in other households, and at times appeared to leave for a brief moment to
So
visit.
basically, it was the internet.
And at times appeared to leave for brief moments to visit homes after an inquiry.
It was Google.
That's why I said it was not just them. It happened throughout the entire area.
Yeah.
John Johnson, the son of James, devised a test for the witch, something no one outside his family would know, asking the entity what his Dutch step-grandmother in North Carolina would say to the slaves if she thought they did something wrong. The witch replied with his grandmother's accent, "Hut tut, what has happened now?" And in another account, an Englishman stopped to visit and offered to investigate. On remarking on his family overseas, the witch suddenly began to mimic his English parents. Again, in the early morning, the witch woke him to voices of his parents, worried as they had heard his voice as well. This is talking about across the world. The Englishman quickly left that morning and later wrote the Bell family that the entity had visited his family in England. He apologized for his skepticism.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So a little bit of Robert to the doll, maybe? Whoever was skeptical, whoever came to visit, you went back home. And if you didn't believe, that thing came to visit you too.
It was almost like a portal, though, because like literally, he asked about literally almost like it translated it morphed into his parents' voices, almost like a live sound, like a live listening recording almost of them.
That thing is definitely very intelligent.
Very powerful.
Yeah, and powerful too, for sure.
And there's several accounts of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, that's why it gained so much traction. That's why it gained so much traction, though, because it wasn't just like nowadays, like for instance, the demon house, where it's like just the family that was living there that was pretty much affected.
Yeah.
No, this was affecting not just the family that lived there and claiming it; it was affecting the entire region and anybody who came to visit it. So that's why it gained so much traction, because it was something that anybody could and did witness at the time.
Like Freddy Krueger.
Ain't far off from that.
But I'm saying you say the name and at the same time the AC goes off.
I'm like, you had to know about him, and that thing just spread, and then just created more chaos, which, and it seemed like, makes you wonder, did it gain? So you got something that starts off kind of small with just an animal sighting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something that they were like, it was coming around often, or something that was there for in a form for hours. This was literally maybe seconds to minutes. Okay. So that's the reason why I say small versus like a scratch on the wall or something like that.
Yeah.
Coming in as an animal, and then over time it increasingly gets worse, because now it's pretty much triggered John Sr. And now the other family starts seeing it. And so now all the kids are being tortured. So I feel like all of that like just circled around and just created like this whole power wheel, basically. And now it's getting out to other people.
So it just basically learned how to regenerate power for itself.
Yeah, which goes back to what, I listened to our podcast back, and it's kind of funny because, like I was telling the guys, I'm like, this morning, I listened to Convo Kings when we had actually just came back from our trip to Norway, and I was just chuckling and just giggling. I'm like, this is freaking hilarious. And then this afternoon, coming home from work, I was listening to the Dark Hour, the one about New Orleans.
Yeah.
Talking about, what the heck was I trying to go with this? I want to say vampires. But you know what? Lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me.
It happens when you get old.
But just a little bit. I'll circle back to that one. But it did have something to do with our other podcast of how you have, the vampire that sucked the energy.
Energy, yeah.
Yes. Same concept. I'm like, so same thing. You talk about, spiritual aspects of things, of using electronics, anything that they can pull like actual power from, power source, lights, your camera, your phone, whatever, things like that. It almost sounds that same concept, that this thing was getting the best of both worlds, because sounded like it was in love with Lucy over here, trying to slowly get rid of her family, but at the same time generating all these power sources, because what generates all that? Fear. And the family was afraid. Then you also have word got out about how they were basically being tortured. So now you have people that are either skeptics or people that are just coming there just out of curiosity and want to experience it themselves. But all of this stuff is being sourced out. And during that time, just like what you said, like, with Andrew Jackson, it would probably take this person like weeks to get from where they currently were living to the actual Bell house. So you got all these people traveling just for this one moment with this entity. I'm like, that thing just powering up. I'm like, that's the reason why it's bouncing around to all these other dang on locations, haunting all these other families.
It got to kick off the energy.
Yeah.
Because everybody was so interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody was so intrigued in it. And it was like, well, the more that I torture, the more that I do stuff, And then you got a mixture of, not everybody in the family was experiencing anything bad,
That must mean that they wasn't giving it energy.
But then it makes you wonder also, why Lucy ain't ever said nothing? If this entity was so
Well,
nice,
back then too, you're your community, you didn't want anybody to think you were crazy.
Yeah, but the whole community was
so
experiencing
she probably.
it.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, she don't want to be included in that. Because look what we're doing right now. It's hundreds and hundreds of years later, and we're still talking about it. She was one of those people, kind of like, I don't want nobody in my business. Now look at it.
don't want nobody in your business, but this thing about to kill your whole family.
Well, it did kill her husband,
So,
from what I understand. When it said I gave him a big dose of his medicine or something like that.
yep, they found a vial near him. They said that he originally they were like, yeah, he just couldn't take it anymore. But I do remember hearing something that said that the spirit caused him basically to drink the poison.
Yeah, well, they said as the doctor came, remember the voice spoke out saying, I gave him a good mix of his medication. And he's not coming out of this.
Yeah, I don't. That's crazy.
Well, I was reading about like a second ago about the more of the Andrew Jackson encounter.
Yeah,
And how it came to be. But what happened was the reason why they say what triggered the haunting in the first place
yeah,
is the most common version. They state that the neighbor of the Bell family, Kate, who was wronged in the land deal,
yeah.
that involved John Bell, swore that as she died that she would return to haunt him, and she kept her word and came almost immediately.
Yep.
It said Andrew Jackson hearing of the Bell Witch haunting as he was traveling through. At the time, he was a general at the time.
Yeah, I knew it was something.
They were passing through already, and he heard through in town about it.
Yeah.
Andrew Jackson, hearing of the Bell Witch haunting, like many others, decided to travel to the northern Tennessee to see for himself. As he and his men neared the Bell Farm, legend states one of their wagons got stuck, but not even in the mud. Instead, it appeared to be on an unseen, unfathomable force that caused it.
Yeah, I do remember that.
If something stopped you, turn around.
Wow.
Well, they checked the wagon's wheels for damage. There was none. They then whipped the horses, but they refused to budge. The men then tried to push it, but this did not work either. Frustrated, Jackson then exclaimed, "By the eternal boys, this is the witch." To which a disembodied female voice replied, "All right, General, let the wagon move on. I will see you tonight."
He acknowledged her.
The wagon then started of its own accord, and the party was able to continue their journey.
Damn.
The second encounter that night, the men listened to a man who was a self-proclaimed witch lawyer or witch hunter. He had with him a silver bullet. He regaled the group with stories of how he had hunted, and then shot other witches. Andrew Jackson leaned in and whispered to one of his men, "I bet this fellow is an arrant coward.
Yeah.
By the eternal, I do wish the thing would come. I want to see him run." Suddenly, the gathering heard light footsteps prancing. In the same time, a female voice from earlier announced, "All right, General, I'm at hand and ready for business."
Damn.
The voice then demangled the witch hunter. The witch hunter shoot. The voice then demanded that the witch hunter shoot, but when he tried, his gun did not fire.
Wow.
The braggart was then struck by an unseen force as he twisted around. He shouted that something was sticking painful pins into him. He then cried out that something had him by the nose. All were silent as he was forced about. Then they watched as he ran from the tent.
Shoot.
The witch chimed in once more. "How the devil did run and beg. I bet he won't come through here again with this old horse pistol to shoot me."
I wonder why she was so nice to the Andrew.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know.
And that's the thing, though, is that, okay, she stopped. So was that to get him to acknowledge her?
Yep.
Or the thing was, could he not, leave the area? Were they trying to turn around?
Well,
Could they not turn around, period, and they were just kind of stuck?
Well, here it says the gathering then heard, I guess that's fun enough for tonight, General, and you can go to bed for now. Oh, no. And you can go to bed now. I will come tomorrow night and show you another rascal in this crowd. It is said that after this, Jackson was eager to stay, but his men having enough insisted that they move on.
They didn't want to be the rascal.
Jackson,
Yeah, that's right.
Jackson's party then returned to Nashville. I sure can't blame the men for wanting to get the heck out of there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But later on, when they talked to Andrew Jackson himself said, I'd never want to be anywhere near that place again.
Hey, I don't blame you.
Who knows what all she showed him?
But he tried, I guess he was amusing her and, talking to, maybe to show his men that he wasn't scared, even though he probably was scared to death.
Well, I think she would have probably, if he was really, really scared, she would have came after him.
Yeah.
But he's also at the same time, you got to think about he's a freaking general.
Yeah.
So, there ain't much that's going to rattle that in that time period.
And then you done been through what you done. That's why I was trying to, he had been through too much to be scared of her.
But he's from North Carolina, actually from within 20 minutes of here.
It's Pineville.
Yeah. So
The house is down there.
I'm just saying the area where we're at is also known for hauntings and crazy folklores over the years. So that may not even been.
Dad's family.
It may not have even been his first encounter. So he's probably he's probably this ain't nothing new.
Yeah. Just a run of the mill thing.
And apparently, it looks like the spirit was enjoying the fact that she was amusing him.
Yeah.
Well, she's probably enjoying the fact that somebody kind of respectfully talked to her and acknowledged that she was real.
Well, most of them do.
In a way.
Most of them would want.
It was almost like a respect for respect kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like a tit for tat.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
Because he wasn't disrespectful about it.
No, he's just kind of like,
He's kind of like, what the hell? Like, why am I, why are you making my horse stop? Like,
Basically, show me what you got.
Yeah, let's see what you got. I see you do one thing.
I see you done tried to show me. I was coming to see if you're real. I see you done tried to make your presence known. So
well, they didn't really like people that were braggadocious back then. So that's probably one reason why they went after that dude, the so-called witch hunter.
Yeah.
I'm like, what kind of witch hunter are you?
Van Helsing.
The gun wouldn't even go off.
You're the wife one that killed the vampire in 100 years.
No,
and I'm like, were you talking about physical witches? I'm like, this thing ain't a physical being.
Yeah, I don't know.
So what you gonna shoot?
I guess you're gonna shoot thin air.
Oh yeah, and that animal that they said that he saw, Mr. John,
Chupacabra.
It was a dog with a rabbit's head.
See,
that he saw quickly run into the woods, and he ran after it to shoot.
Dang.
And it was gone.
I ain't running after that damn thing.
Shit, no.
A dog with a rabbit's head.
Betsy had saw a little girl in a green dress swinging on the swing. When she went to approach it, it disappeared.
Yeah, fuck that shit too.
Yeah,
Like she
Creepy
ain't,
little
and
girl.
she
no.
was-
she ain't supposed to be here.
she was a little bit older at that time. She was in her teens.
I'm like, no, we don't do that. We don't walk up to
Now-
random little kids sitting there looking creepy. That's about as bad as that dang old woman that you showed me.
I read a
sitting in
theory.
a stadium that looked like a freaking dang old zombie.
I read a theory of why she picked on Betsy the most out of the other children, because she was jealous of her romantic endeavor that she was having
With who?
with her
Joshua.
lover, with her lover Joshua. So that's why she picked on John Bell, because she had promised that she was going to haunt John Bell.
Oh.
But she picked on Betsy because she was jealous of the romantic relationship that she never had. Because apparently Joshua was a good-looking man, from what I was read. Was very successful and good-looking.
Huh. That's
Okay,
interesting.
the way that this spirit is going right now, she a female.
Yeah.
That's the witch.
Well, which
Kate.
well, I mean, you could have a warlock.
Yeah, they call her gay. They call her Kate. She swore that she was gonna.
No, that was the name of the neighbor.
Yeah, but she
But
swore.
they actually called the witch.
They actually
Kate.
called the entity Kate.
Yeah.
Was the actual name.
She definitely acted like a female.
Yeah.
Because that makes a lot of sense
Well-
then. Because the two people that basically got tortured was John Bell Sr.,
Yeah.
who was married to Lucy, that the dang old spirit was already infatuated with.
Yeah.
And then the only other person, what did it say?
Throat.
Then the only other person that, this one's definitely, no wonder Dustin was talking about
Yeah,
his
'cause
peas.
yeah, you pee and popping over there.
But what's
Good
weird?
Lord.
What's weird is that the story for Betsy with the pins wasn't that she was being poked.
Yeah.
She had been really sick, and had the spirit came and said, "I'm going to give you a potion to make you feel better." And when she took the potion, she coughed up pins, and the spirit then laughed and said, "Ha ha ha! Don't ever trust me." You know.
But the same thing. You had somebody else that was in a relationship.
Yeah,
In a relationship. Because nobody else was in any type of relationship with anybody. And then even with John Jr.,
Comfortable.
she told
Get comfortable.
him that if he went on this trip to this actual meeting, that he was going to miss the love of his life. But he went anyway. So he wasn't actually in a relationship,
yeah.
you know? So the only two people that the witch actually tortured were two people in the
a
family
relationship.
that were in already a pre-existing relationship.
And I'm pretty sure it is a female too. On top of that, because every time she was seen as a entity, like as a being, was a little girl. You know, twice she was seen twice as a little girl, and then
Yeah.
also like if you like when I was reading that Andrew Jackson story, remember it came to her as a woman's voice because he said earlier he said when she came back she had talked to him in the same in the same voice, the same lady's voice from her. Oh my God, I said Minnie.
Yeah. So this has definitely been
That was crazy how the Andrew Jackson story in it. That's pretty entertaining.
quite an actual interesting
Yeah.
story about this Bell Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty. It's
That
pretty
was a
impressive.
good one. That
Pretty
was
impressive.
Good story for.
She was a
Dark
jealous woman.
She was a jealous Jezebel.
Yeah. She wanted her some carpet.
She yeah.
She was
She
a
wanted some
muncher.
carpet. Oh
She was a
Lord.
carpet muncher.
Okay then. I didn't know we were going that way.
Oh Lordy.
We went across the rainbow.
You start
bridge.
talking to her like that, she might come visit you
I know.
Hey, it's the truth.
in the form of the old hag in our area.
Don't do that. I don't need none of that.
Direction.
I don't need none of that.
It said direction.
Go to the west.
Stay in the west.
Well, actually, what you could do is hit 485 and head on over to Gastonia.
What's a good thing? I don't live anywhere near that.
You do live in Gastonia.
No, I don't. Not anymore. Not legal. Not legally.
Well, you know where he physically lives.
It's okay. I've already had enough this week.
It's all right. She could probably be at both houses.
At the same
at the
damn
same
time.
time.
Oh Lord.
You heard what it did. Huh? All right, so we got through the Bell Witch. That was pretty good.
Oh yeah, that was definitely. There's a lot of interesting
Yeah,
stuff that we learned about.
Yeah, I went digging.
yeah, he went digging. All right.
I was digging my ass.
Yeah. So I guess do y'all want to stay on witches for another week, or y'all want to move to something else?
I've heard Charlotte's got their own witch.
Well, yeah, we got
Yeah.
Charlotte Witch, but
You know, we hadn't talked about yet.
what?
Since you're talking about witches, the Salem witch trial.
That's what I was saying. We can move over to. Let's. I guess we'll travel up the.
But that's not
Boston.
as much spiritual as it is just like the
Who told you? Who told you that?
school.
School lied. They also told you Christopher Columbus discovered America.
They told us that's not what they told us. They told us he was a crook.
Yeah.
Well, this is the dark hour,
This is the
and we're
dark
gonna
hour,
talk about dark things.
and it's also Leif Erikson Day.
Is it Leif or Leaf?
Leif.
Okay.
It's Leif. His name is spelled Leif. Leif.
So you want to explain to the people?
Leif
since-
Erikson, he came here 500 years before Columbus even thought about coming. He came after a trader had passed by a landmass that was full of trees, and so when he left Greenland and decided to sail towards this landmass. Now, there's two stories in the sagas. One saga is that he was returning to Iceland, and got blew off course, and then ended up in what we nowadays call Newfoundland, which he named it Vinland. And the reason why he named it Vinland was because it had a lot of grapes. There were a lot of grapes and like trees and stuff like that. So he named it that, and then they stayed here for a little while. And then he turned around and left, and that was pretty much it. But he was here, and discovered it. He did take a lot of wood back with him. Like they took some pine and stuff like that with them to build ships and other things.
All right.
But yeah, that's kind of it was 500 years.
And of course, you have the natives that discovered it for.
Well, natives can't discover something if they're already here.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I hear everybody says that, right?
I didn't say that. Well,
And I get it. I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is
they
everybody
can all
says
move
that.
around and
Well,
discover.
if I say, and my grandmother was native, but what I'm trying to say
Somewhere.
is that, and she would even tell you can't discover something if you're already here.
Very true.
That's like me discovering my house when I go home. I'm already there. How can I discover it? Now I could discover your house.
I say it doesn't mean that you're not discovering the whole area as a landmass still.
Well, the natives wouldn't. No,
But
they can't.
I mean, you know how they originally were here, anyways. When the Earth was all one big continent and they split.
That's what I'm saying.
They got
can't-
left
How
over.
can they discover it?
Okay, so if I wake up tomorrow morning, I've always been here, right?
Yeah, you
I've
can't
always-
discover Gastonia.
I'm just talking about. Here's where I'm getting from. I'm just talking about the entire land mass.
You see how
North
he's trying to set
America.
up this argument, and I'm about to knock him
I'm talking
down.
about North
before
America in a general.
You do know you're battling with a history buff, right?
I know.
All
I'm
right.
just saying. So I was born here. So basically, I am a native to North America myself, being born here right now. If you theoretically, you could say I'm native. Not like in ethnicity. I'm just native as this is
I'm
my
listening.
land. So if I were to travel to California, I am discovering a new land that I've never been to before. Never been on, never been around.
You're on the North American landmass. You can't discover California, do you?
It's called going on a discovery.
You're
adventure.
already on the landmass. He discovered another continent, is what they're saying.
That's what. Yes.
That's North America,
Okay.
and he discovered America
Right.
before Christopher Columbus.
Right.
Yeah, you Saxons. Anyway,
Direction.
see,
Direction.
thank you.
On that note,
Yeah, our little end of show history argument here.
yep. In
Daniel's
celebration.
trying to be a little bit of a smart ass. I was
Okay.
trying to say you can't discover something just because you went there.
I can't give it to you, baby.
That's what they said.
Then you got me a question. You said leave for life.
Left.
Left.
Almost like you're going to
Why?
say left,
You know why?
but you're saying left.
Because you kept on saying it for a while. Leaf.
I got corrected
Yeah.
very easily.
Left. Okay.
When I started watching a historian about
Him pronouncing his name properly.
yeah, and then they actually even said like on the show Vikings Valhalla when it's a show that happens a couple years after the first Viking show. They actually introduced Leif,
Okay.
which was the son of Eric the Red.
He said market.
So yeah, it's Leif Erikson. But anyway,
On that note,
Like
Oh,
Lefty.
man.
we are today is a day to celebrate Leif Erikson Day.
yep.
And
Take it from the dark hour. You can next year tell your boss you don't got to work. It actually was now it was the president of the United States did declare it a holiday in 1964. So anybody that wants to look that up, it is an actual holiday.
so again, like, share, subscribe, leave us a Google review, comment, shoot us an email, send us your stories, guys, so we can share it on air.
Yep. Email is Monso Agency at Gmail. MONSO Agency at Gmail. We're also on Tickety Talk. We're on YouTube. There's all kind of platforms we're on. Just look for the Dark Hour, and you'll find us in the dark.
Yep. We're also gonna dedicate this little shout out to old little Casper.
Yep.
Yeah, Daniel's little kitty cat, guys.
This show is completely dedicated to Mr. Casper.
Yep.
We hope that you saw Heimdall today as you crossed the Rainbow Bridge, because that's who guards over the Rainbow Bridge is Heimdall.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So stay.
Even though Daniel's not Norse, it's okay. He's welcome.
It says strength.
See,
Yep. There you have it.
I need the strength.
Heimdall is the strongest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he has to watch over the whole world, the whole Asgard and Midgard, and has to, watch out for giants.
Yep. So on that note,
And
stay tuned to the next episode. We're gonna touch base on the maybe some Salem witch trials.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Stay creepy.